Hey y'all, what up? Welcome back to another episode of Homestead MacGyver. Today we're going to be working on a, project that I didn't even expect to have. Um, During my lunch breaks, I walk 3 to 4 miles um, around the local area, around my office in the city. And while I was walking the other day, I found um, a transfer pump. Somebody had ditched a transfer pump on the side of the road. So, um, fully expecting this thing probably to be trash, but knowing how reliable the 150S from GPI is, I figured I'd bring it home, see if I could troubleshoot it, see if we could figure out what's wrong with it. Because 9 times out of 10, these things are likely going to be a bad internal component, like a fuse or a loose connection, or sometimes even a bad motor. So we're hoping this is not a bad motor, but I'm going to take you guys through my troubleshooting process of checking all the different connections along the way and see if we can hook this thing up to a battery. I've already tested it when I picked it up and put it in the trunk of the car, hooked it directly to the battery in the good car, and no response whatsoever. So we're going to crack the case open. Y'all are going to do that with me right now. We're going to crack this case open and see what we got. All right. So as I said, we have a GPI. This model happens to be an M150S. You can see that it's pretty dirty. The outlet nozzle is cut off. It was actually pretty pretty damaged. You can see it's pinched and all frayed and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's part of the reason why it got ditched on the side of the road, um, but we're gonna figure it out. So let's grab us some channel locks. Yeah, I know all you Nipex or Nipex guys are screaming at the top of your lungs right now, but I don't really care. If you feel like buying me a set and getting a shout out on one of the videos, please feel free. So the first thing I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to look inside here. Let me grab a flashlight. Inside that hole, there's some gears. First thing I'm going to do is make sure that those gears spin. And it does look like they're spinning. You can see them rotating in there. So we know that the impeller and the gears are spinning freely. So that's a good sign. Next, we're going to open up this case. So we'll fast forward through that. Those bolt holes are kind of janky. This thing is kind of old. Alright, so everything looks good. Oh, boy, that tape job is janky, y'all. Shame on whoever taped that. Look at that exposed wire. That's nasty. What kind of amateur? Okay. So the ground is connected, just the tape's peeled off of it a little bit. It looks like we have a pretty solid. We're going to get our voltmeter. We're going to test here and at the end of the wire, which had some janky alligator or cheapo battery terminal connectors on it, which I cut off. So we're going to put new ones on there. All right, guys. So this is the end of our battery terminal connection. We have our voltmeter set up to tell us when we have continuity. We're going to test continuity from the end that we're going to connect to the actual vehicle, the power source, to here. That way we know at least the lead is good. So start with our blacks. Got good connection. Move to our power. Solid connection. Okay, so we have power to at least there. So for expediency and testing and evaluation, we're just going to use some wire nuts to make sure these don't arc out either on the body or against each other. We'll go back and put some heat shrink on these and insulate these really well. Make sure we clean up these connections, because that, man, shame on whoever did that. All right, we're going to put our bolts back in, put this cover back on. My workspace is getting kind of crowded because I haven't got my rolling workbench yet that I want to get for shooting these videos. So we're just going to put these nuts back in, or these bolts back in, snug them up by hand, and move on to the next part. All right, so next we're going to open up this cover here. There is a sealed pot here that's got a gasket sealed extension that this arm moves, and you can hear it. There's a switch inside there that this controls. I didn't get any response from this once I hooked it to the battery in the good car, flipped the switch back and forth. So likelihood is we have something not right in here. I'm really hoping that this motor isn't burnt up, because it's kind of expensive. Out of the box, this is about a $400 pump. I do have the siphon tube and the pump handle that actually screws in here, that piece that was cut off. So I'm going to get a new hydraulic fitting put on that if this thing works, if it's not complete junk. Even if it's junk, we get to shoot another video, because I'm going to buy the rebuild kit and see if we can rebuild this and make it work if we're not successful on this video. So give me a sec, we'll open that up. Well, at least they're snug. Hopefully the gasket's in good shape. There's one more right here. Okay, we'll pull that cover off. Yeah, our gasket's still intact. So you see, guys, there is this little piece here that corresponds to that toggle switch right there. So we're gonna undo that toggle switch, pull it out, make sure that we got good connection all around. Likelihood is we got not a solid connection that's just worn loose over time, or the switch is bad, so we can bypass, we can check all that stuff. Aha. So I wanted to show you guys this. The plot thickens. So according to the parts diagram, that, which is clearly a Phillips head screw right there, should not be a Phillips head screw. That should actually be a Torx screw, which tells me that somebody has been in this pump. So we're going to see what we can see, figure out what is going on here. Judging by the jankiness of those connections, it's probably a bad connection in here. So we'll see. Yep, that's what I thought. Y'all see that? See that connection right there? There's a fuse right here, and as soon as I pulled it out, that connection popped right off that fuse. So we're going to test the fuse. We're going to test the polarity across here and here on the switch. Make sure that it opens and closes that circuit. We're going to test this to make sure we have continuity across the two poles. Yeah, see, that one's tight. So we're going to check and make sure we got continuity across these. We're going to check and make sure that we have continuity across these poles. and that should tell us that we got power running to the motor, hopefully. So we'll grab our handy dandy probes, put one on one side, one on the other. We have no continuity. I'm going to try and hold these. We need like 2 more hands, but aha. All right, so our fuse is good. Let's make sure that this jumper here is good. So we'll test it there. Okay, so we got power going at least to this. So we'll test this. Okay, so that leaves this connection here, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So that is just loose on and loose off. Like it's hardly holding. This one, when I put the fuse in there, I have to force it in and I have to work to get it out. I hope that was clear because it doesn't look like it is very clear. But when I put this together, I have to force it, and then to pull it apart takes quite a bit of effort. Not so much on this one. So, I'm going to do what I can to clean that one up, make it a little bit tighter, and we'll see what happens. All right, so we just got ourselves some needle nose pliers, and it does look like somebody's went to work on this thing. So we're just going to close those jaws a little bit so that it puts more friction and a better connection, tighter connection on that fuse when it goes in. This is also important, guys, because any arcing, as you know, the chassis of a vehicle rolling down the road is going to cause vibration. Even though this stuff is in here tight, you don't want any vibration. So we're going to see, how did that go in? Like that? All right, we got a good connection there. So let's make sure that we actually have a good connection. So we'll go into the connector there. Man, that's crimped really tight. I don't want to compromise that connection. I can't compromise that connection. I guess we'll just have to put it back together and see if it works. Okay, so we're firmly connected there. At this point, we're going to test it. All right, so we're hooked up to the battery. Back this up a little bit. We're hooked up to the battery. We have tested. We've got power to this side. The circuit is open right now. So what we're going to do, we're going to delicately grab in here, not expose ourselves to it's 12 volts, but still. Awesome. All right, guys, so I just got misted with diesel. My wife is going to be thrilled when I go inside. So yeah, guys, this connection right here on that side was loose, and probably the reason that somebody ditched this pump on the side of the road, because it would probably work intermittently and then finally just stopped working because, you know, it didn't have a good connection. Or the vehicle likely wasn't idling, making that connection short and have a shorting actual completed circuit. So, as I assumed, this M150S is a functioning unit, and it'll likely go up for sale so we can fund you know, new equipment and stuff like that. So if you're interested in buying this pump for your farm or your homestead, shoot me an email or send me a DM. Find us on one of our social media accounts, and I'll cut you a hell of a deal on this pump. I guarantee it won't be the $400 it retails for. I will also fix this connection, get it hooked back up to the pump nozzle. Again, it does have the siphon dip tube. None of the threads are galled. I'll actually go through and actually clean this thing up, pull that strainer, clean it, make sure it's ready to go, do a field test. But yeah, totally working unit for free. Uh, so yeah, all it took was a little MacGyvering, finding a loose connection and fixing it up, making it tight, and making it work. All right, guys, we will see y'all on the next one. Hey, I almost forgot before we go. Some of you are asking, y'all saw on our Instagrams and on our TikTok, what is Texas 23? Well, we teach you about stuff like this right over my shoulder, how to can and preserve food. We also talk about skills like the hands-on skills and the knowledge and the best practices for going through and fixing and rebuilding things like this. So, how to work on small engines, how to work on stuff like this around the farm, how to work on your own cars, how to diagnose and repair things, just general DIY of how to do things for yourself instead of trashing a pump like this and buying a new one and spending the money when you don't need to, or paying a guy to come and fix something for you when you're capable of doing it yourself. We're actually going to have a couple of really good sessions this year at Texas 23. One is going to be on plumbing. One is going to be on electrical work. We're having two guys that are in the electrical profession come in. And so we're going to be teaching that. And it's actually going to be practical. It's not going to be like, hey, here's how blah, blah, blah. One of the things the plumber is going to teach us is how to sweat together copper fittings and how to solder copper fittings, aka like if you need to maybe make one of those things that makes fuel that you pour into your mouth by mistake and get a little tipsy with your friends. So hey, I hope that you guys can join us for Texas 23. Seats are on sale now. It's April 28th through 30th. And I would love to see you guys. Ticket prices, seats are $500 a piece. That includes all your food, all your alcohol. We are being sponsored by Lone Pine Brewery here in Magnolia, Texas. Baker Creek has already donated 100 packages of their seeds for the seed swap Sunday morning around lunchtime. I'm going to crack open my own seed vault. I've got about 3 or 4 feet tall of Tupperware that's a bunch of seeds that we have in our seed vault. So we're going to crack open our seed vault. There's going to be live music. There's going to be tons of people from the community just doing fellowship and building, strong relationships and friendships. We got a bit of a contest going this year to see who's going to travel the furthest to get here. So we got new flags. We got new patches every year. We're going to have a great time, guys. So I hope that you can join us, Texas 23, April 28th through 30th, here on the Texas Freedom Farm. So y'all be seeing more of that right there. All right, guys. I love y'all. Have a good day. We'll see y'all in the next one. Man, I just wanted to do this one more time before we go.